So, how's it going? Is your helper, spiritual helper, Jin? I need to look comfortable. In this video, I'm gonna tell you about the trip that I had with my mother, in India, and all the triggers that I had with her as well. Because it's been like a really, really astonishing and crazy inner work trip. Even though India has a lot of things to see, there's a lot of people, fruits that you haven't really seen in your life. Food as well. The food scene is crazy. The inner work is just like on another level. It's crazy. To say the least. Especially when you're traveling with your parents, I can really recommend you that if you have the option, if your parents are still alive, or if you're in a good communication stand with your parent, travel with them. Take a shot and travel with those parents. Or one parent. I've had the chance to travel with my mother, with my father, unfortunately not. Hopefully one day. But my mother, it was crazy because immediately I just knew, because I'm doing this work every single day. I'm using hours and hours and hours on inner work and releasing all my trauma, so I feel better about myself, so I can so I can attract better opportunities, people and stuff like that into my life, and then of course let go of that as well, because then it's only ego. But yeah, so in this video I'm gonna talk about the triggers. So one trigger that I had with my dear mother was like money. So every time we wanted to spend money, you need to spend money. Even though India is really, really cheap, you still need to spend money, right? It's not free. So every time we have to do that, like my mom put a confine on me, limited me, restricted me on using, getting to the better hotels, getting to the, eating at the best places and all those kind of things, Because the funny thing is that my mom, every time we lowered on money, right? Every time we tried to find the really cheap option, like cheaper options, it backfired, Because then at one time we found these, sweats, this smell of sweat. There was these, these bed bugs, yeah. That is the name of it, yeah. So that happened once as well. And then I was like, okay, mom, we need to find a better place. This is not gonna, when it comes to placings, right? But also like when we wanted to find the cheaper place to eat, it was just really not good food, But as soon as we went to like a bit like mid-end, high-end, it was like, wow, it was nice. The food was just absolutely wow, And it's really cheap. And my mom, she didn't want to, use the Danish currency. She wanted to use the Indian currency. I was like, mom, we used the Danish currency, right? Like, let's compare the prices as what we have in Denmark. We don't need to save, right? Like, we are here on vacation, like, mom, you have your money. And the thing is, the core thing here is, why is it that my mom was very careful around money, is that for more than 2 decades, she was married to my father. And for all those years, my dad basically took all her money, right? All the salary that came in, he just basically took it all and said to her, like, hey, you need to contribute to the household. So I'll take all your money, I'll put it into the house, and I just pay you, you just get a little bit of money so you can buy groceries and food for the kids, right? So my mom endured this huge pain, that is like unbearable, to witness and to see and to experience, because I experienced it too, but not for too many years, because when I grew up and I was a teenager, I moved out, and then I could start to earn my own stuff, right? So money was just a huge trigger. So every time, because there was a lot of these triggers around money, so I had to sit down and say to my mom, I understand why you have this restriction around money, but it's all money, like, you're on vacation, use it. And I have to sit down with myself and release it as well, and sometimes I was like, whoa, what the fuck, I'm using this money, and it's my money, I earned this money, but why am I confined as well, so I have to like always like be in this spiritual sense and be aware of where is it all coming from. It's at the end, my mom just wanted to earn her own money, and she didn't want to waste the money as well, because she also had a lot of pain earning this money, so she just basically had a really bad relationship with money, in a way, like, because she's still traumatized by money, but at the same time she also had the respect of money, like she had the respect on using all this money. And then also she couldn't stop complaining and worrying all the way throughout this trip. She just couldn't do it. She couldn't stop doing it. And why? Because there were so many cultural shocks, around the whole trip, so I also had to be with that and release that and be chill with all that as well, because again, like, she was used to, again, from my father, she was used to a lot of complaints around him, and he created like this worry within her as well, so there's a lot of that as well, where I need to, again, like, sit down, understand, okay, why is it that my mom is worrying, and console her, and also like, hey mom, don't complain, it's all right, like, I don't insult people, because I also started to insult other people behind their backs. It's like, oh mom, because of trauma, and then she had a lot of pain. So my mom has a lot of physiological pain, alongside with the pain from the trauma. So every time we went to a place, physiological, like, speaking of physiological pain, I had to like pace. I have to pace on her pace, like, walk slowly. And also I had a lot of responsibility. So every time we had to pay, we had to use my card, because I have a special card. Every time we have to use transportation, book stuff, we had to do it on mine, because she didn't learn how to. She didn't have the Uber. We used Uber a lot. She couldn't really attach her credit card to these things. So all this made me to feel more patient. Like, I gained a lot of patience, and I gained a lot of empathy. I was gaining a lot of time being in awareness and not be absorbed by this negativity, right? And like, okay, it's my mom. I only have one mother, and she's not toxic towards me, but she was just negative at times, right? And I was like, you know what, it's my mother, I accept it, and she's willing to listen. That's a good thing about my mom. She's willing to listen to what I say, and she is healing. She's willing to heal and release, So those are the really, really good things about my mother. So what did this all taught me? And teach me. What does this all teach me? It taught me to be more empathetic, and more in awareness, and more understanding. Okay, understand why people have so much pain, and also, like, it's not about me. Like, all these things are really not about me, and also like my own shadows, because sometimes I would get pissed off. Sometimes I could, there was one time at the airport where my mom started to coughing, and the slime coming up and all those kind of things. But then I was at one point just like, I was passive, and it felt like I was inside of my father at one point too, That's why it gets really, really messed up. And then I was like, hey, I have to snap out. I snapped out of it, and I started to help my mom, because I got inflicted and impacted by my father, So I snapped out of it and then started to help her. So I learned a lot about myself too. There's so many things, I also learned to have more respect around money. And don't, be irritated and pissed off at people, because they're just doing their best, but obviously you need to put boundaries. For example, at one point I was like setting my boundaries around, with these people who had these really bad rooms, so it felt good to release and set some boundaries there, right? And one point there was another point where, again, I was a bit passive, but I was sitting there and eating, and then we were waiting for a long time, and then people started to complain. And then one lady said to me, legit, now it's you, because I was just practicing Spanish. I was like, okay, I have a break, I can practice Spanish. And then I was like, okay, let me get back into awareness. We are not getting our food. And then I had to step out of my comfort zone. because normally I'm not that guy who is like complaining. I'm not the guy who is, you know, who has to like set a example, statuette example, right? So I was like, oh, okay, now I need to do I need to like really put the inner work to a test now. Let me let me talk to these guys, because we've been waiting for like 20 minutes and I was just been passing time with that phone, right? Like practicing Spanish. So I was like, okay, I just stood up and then I talked and I said like, hey, waiter. And I could see that they, the waiter was just lying. They were like always saying like the food is coming, it's coming right now. And then I just increased my voice and then I said to him, hey, listen, we've been waiting for a long time. We want our food. Just be honest. And then he's like giving me the same slur, like this, the food is gonna come. And I said to him, are you lying to me? Are you lying to me? Just go. Just be honest. Just be honest with me, because I don't want you to lie. Just be honest. That is what I need. And then I could just see he cracked down and he kind of understood it. And I saw the people around me, they were like, okay. They were respecting me to stand up for all of us, really. And that was like, wow, okay, that was nice. That was a really, really, really nice experience. Magnificent. So yeah, so even telling it now, I just feel the release, like, whoa, that was really nice. So again, like, it makes you stronger, it makes you a better human being going through the triggers, especially with the parent, or parents or siblings, especially family members. And yeah, you just put, the inner world just strengthens a lot, and you can potentially strengthen the relationship with this parent, with this sibling, because 4 weeks you're out in a country where you're not, it's very different to an EU country. It's very different to the country you're coming from. And especially with a parent that is dependable on you, you will get to know each other on a different level, on a higher plan. And, it's so beautiful. The healing process there is so beautiful, So try it out, try it out for yourself. If you have the chance, try it out. But also, like, solo traveling can be triggered too, And again, at the end of the day, you don't need to travel. You can also, like, in this domain, you can also move home for a week, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, right? It's just like a great opportunity beside healing, doing the traditional way of healing by yourself, meditating, going to retreats. Like, whoa, this has just been like remarkable, This really, like, I never thought I would say it, but being triggered by my mother really amplified the whole trip, Like, it's just like, wow, it's just an amazing trip to India, a trip I will never forget, So yeah, go out there, happy releases, you can do this. Let's go.